Hello, you all. My name is Lisa Sanchez, and I am a student, a senior at Boyle County High School in Denville, Kentucky, and I'm also a member of the Kentucky Student Voice team. In addition to that, I am one of 13 individual Kentucky students suing the Commonwealth of Kentucky for failing to provide us with a constitutionally adequate education. Exactly 1 year ago today, I stood on the steps of the Franklin County Circuit Courthouse in single-digit temperatures alongside students, educators, parents, and community members to announce that lawsuit. In doing so, we stood on the shoulders of the advocates who brought Rose v. Counsel for Better Education nearly 37 years ago. That lawsuit changed Kentucky's education system, and our litigation is an effort to uphold that legacy and to honor the Kentucky Constitution. But the story of this case can't be told in a single press conference or legal filing. It spans decades of policy decisions, years of research, and generations of Kentucky students. To tell it right requires telling the whole story. Our team is no stranger to ambitious storytelling. In 2015, we released Ready or Not, a book filled with the stories of students from across Kentucky struggling to make the transition to life after high school. And last spring, our team got to work on our second book, this time to tell the story of our lawsuit. We are proud to announce the release of Why Kentucky Students Are Suing the State. But before I turn it over to Grace, I want to share the foreword I wrote for the book. I take a deep breath, then I walk up to the granite steps in front of the Franklin County Courthouse to the lectern, where I look out at the gathering crowd. I am part of the Kentucky Student Voice Team, a nonprofit organization made up of young people and older supporters from across the state. We work together to co-create more just and democratic Kentucky public schools. Today, we are battling the frigid cold to announce that we are filing a lawsuit against the state. It's called the Kentucky Student Voice Team v. Commonwealth of Kentucky. Our organization and 13 individual student plaintiffs are suing the Commonwealth of Kentucky for violating our right to an adequate education, a right guaranteed by our state constitution. Until this moment, I didn't realize I'd be making history. I never pictured youth like me being at the forefront of change, empowered to make an impact. But here I am, and I am not alone. But before we decided to file our lawsuit, KSVT held 6 public forums across the state in Corbin, Louisville, Bowling Green, Hazard, Lexington, and Owensboro during the 2023 to 2024 school year. I attended every one. Over the course of a year, I listened to scores of students, families, and educators share their experiences in Kentucky's public schools. Once we finished the last forum, it was clear that public education is at a crossroads in Kentucky. It has not always been this way, though. But right now, our schools are failing our students. Kentucky's public schools have thousands of hardworking and talented individual teachers and administrators. Many of these professionals are doing their best with the resources that they have been given. But they are working in a system that does not come close to meeting the educational standards required by Kentucky's Constitution. Something has to be done. Since our founding in 2012, KSVT has been trying to shift public perception about the value of students as partners in improving our schools. When we filed a lawsuit this morning, it was the first time our organization sued the state to get our voices heard. In the past, we put up signs, wrote stories, spoke to crowds, and led other forms of advocacy. In 2024, I worked with KSVT against a proposed constitutional amendment that would have sent public school dollars to private schools. KSVT partnered with 150 other local organizations as a part of our campaign. As a part of our Myth Bus tour, we took a school bus across the state and held teach-in lessons along the way to explain how diverting funds from our public schools would affect us. On election night 2024, I witnessed all 120 Kentucky counties vote no on Amendment 2. The result was a powerful sign of Kentucky's support for public education. This tells me it's exactly the right time for students across the Commonwealth to demand that our constitutional rights are upheld rather than violated. Plus, we already have tremendous support for our mission. Our public forums and research prove this. So today, As I look out at the eager crowd gathered at the foot of the courthouse, I don't feel scared. I feel excited for the changes our lawsuit can bring. Now I clear my throat, lean toward the mic, and begin my remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. We've just left the courthouse where we filed a lawsuit against the Commonwealth of Kentucky for failing to uphold our constitutional right to a quality education. We want to explain why we have taken this step. We are Kentucky students. We are here today because we care about the Commonwealth and our future. We are here today because we refuse to accept the status quo when it comes to our education. We are here because we believe the promise of education in Kentucky is far too important to be sidelined by inefficiency, inequity, or inaction. As members of the Kentucky Student Voice Team, we represent a statewide coalition of students who are dedicated to improving our schools through research, policy, and storytelling. We believe in the promise of education as a tool for justice, and we're here to ensure that promise is fulfilled.
In this book, you'll learn why the stakes are so high, not just for individual students and families, but for the welfare of Kentucky.
Thank you, Louisa. My name is Grace Wilson. I'm a student at STEAM Academy in Lexington and also a member of the Kentucky Student Voice Team. Why Kentucky students are suing the state represents a collective labor of love by this team. We wrote it because we wanted to break down our legal complaint into something more accessible to the general public and to our fellow students. Our goal is to bring the public further into the conversations we are having about the future of our public schools by grounding these conversations in Kentucky's past, our incredibly rich education improvement history. After filing our lawsuit last year, we traveled across the state, meeting with educators, families, and community leaders. Again and again, we heard the same questions. What was the Rose decision? What was the Kentucky Education Reform Act? And what does our lawsuit have to do with any of it? This book is our way of answering those questions fully. We want to use it to ground today's challenges in Kentucky's education history and help more people understand what Kentucky's Constitution promises for our students and our schools, and where our system is falling short. In that sense, this book quite literally marks the next chapter of our Rose Revival campaign and our effort to build public understanding and public will. We want to hold the Commonwealth we love to the constitutional promise it made to Kentucky students nearly 4 decades ago.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aubrey Nice, and I'm a senior at Davis County High School and a member of the Kentucky Student Voice Team. I wanted to share even more context about this book and our lawsuit. In the years since we filed our litigation while writing this book, our student litigation team has been traveling across Kentucky and hosting hearings to unearth policy solutions to the issues raised in our legal complaint. We designed these hearings to serve as a positive complement to our legal complaint. We also designed them to flip the traditional script. Instead of legislators questioning experts, we students served as the examiners. From school social workers to former Kentucky Teachers of the Year to a host of other community leaders, the witnesses we called have helped us show that the issues raised in our lawsuit are not abstract. In fact, in local pockets throughout Kentucky, many solutions to the problem we identify already exist. You can find witness testimonies on our website at ksvt.org and a video of each hearing's proceedings on our YouTube page. Among other things, we hope this book tells an important story about what is possible when students, the people at the heart of our public schools, are invited into decision-making and trusted to keep the promise of a quality education that the Constitution was meant to deliver in the first place. The book is our way of extending an invitation to the public to join our Rose Revival campaign and to imagine with us what better Kentucky schools could look like. We have done it here in Kentucky before, real systemic nation-leading education improvement, and by continuing to build public will and community around this work, we will do it again. Now, I'll pass it to Lavinia to reflect on what this work means moving forward.
Thank you, Aubrey, and hello, everyone. My name is Lavinia Sidden. I'm a sophomore at Owensboro High School and a member of the Kentucky Student Voice Team. As a younger, as a younger high school student on this team, I want to be honest about what this moment feels like. This book isn't just a record of what's already happened for students like me. It's a reminder that the decisions being made right now about funding, about curriculum, about who gets listened to will shape the rest of our education. And that's why this work feels so urgent. Why Kentucky students are suing the state exists because students wanted a way to explain this lawsuit in our own words as a lived reality. It's for students who recognize their own classrooms in these pages. It's for families and educators who have been carrying these challenges for years. And it's for anyone who believes Kentucky can do better than the status quo. If you want to read the book, it's available on Amazon or directly through our website at ksvt.org in paperback, hardcover, and digital formats. But more importantly, this book is an invitation to help us imagine what a fully constitutional, fully funded, and fully human public education system could look like. That work continues beyond these pages. On February 21st, we'll be at Center College in Danville hosting our next public hearing, this one focused on arts and cultural education. And we hope you'll join us, whether in person or by following along online. You can stay connected with us at KYSTU Voice Team. And thank you for being here and for taking this work seriously. We're now happy to take questions about the book and the broader effort, along with our legal counsel, Mike Gregory and Michael Rebel. Lucy will take things from here.
Thank you, Lavinia, and hello, everyone. I'm Lucy Carter, a sophomore at Tates Creek High School in Lexington, and of course, also a member of the Kentucky Student Voice Team. I'm now going to facilitate our Q&A, and here's how it's going to work. Any person on this call, including but definitely not limited to any journalist, is welcome to raise their hand where I can see it or post a question in the chat. We'll take as many as we can, but we'll also prioritize people with media deadlines, so just let us know if that applies to you, if we don't otherwise call on you. Also, please be sure to identify yourself in chat or verbally before asking your question. And as you gather your thoughts, we want to take 1 minute first to allow our legal counsel to unmute and introduce themselves. As both are named Mike, we'll start by passing Mike to Mike Gregory.
Hi, everybody. Great to be with you all today. So proud of the release of the book and so excited for today. My name is Mike Gregory. I'm the faculty director of the Youth Advocacy and Policy Lab at Harvard Law School and the very proud representative of the Kentucky Student Voice Team and 14 individual student plaintiffs. I'll pass it to my colleague, Michael Rebel.
Okay, hello everybody. Glad that you're here today. And I must say, after helping write a 70-page complaint that had all kinds of details about the problems the students were concerned about, it's a relief and an inspiration to see that you've been able to combine all of that in consumer-friendly language so that more than the handful of lawyers and judges who read these technical legal documents can understand what this effort is all about.
Okay, and if you guys have questions, just raise your hand or you can type them in the chat and I will read them and then direct them accordingly. So thank you, everyone.
I put a plant in the chat to let people think. Can you see that, Lucy?
I do not see any.
I'll unmute. I'll just read it out loud. Here's my question. The book and the lawsuit center students, not just as plaintiffs, but as co-authors, researchers, and strategists. This is pretty unusual, we know. So can any of you, student or lawyer, talk about what it has meant to practice this kind of what's called participatory lawyering and how it's changed the way this case and the public engagement that this book represents came together? And I'm thinking we want to hear from any of our student panelists or the attorneys on this, and in addition, any other students who are on the call who worked on this case can answer.
Yeah, so first I'd like an answer from one of the lawyers, either one of the mics. So, and then we can ask a student the second part of that question.
I really want to hear what the students have to say, but since you put us on the spot, Lucy, I'll say something briefly and then hope others will join in. You know, I spent the first part of my career really skeptical about litigation efforts like this because so often they're top-down efforts where lawyers drive all the decision making, and often clients can sort of end up feeling like they've just been used to accomplish the goals of the lawyer. What we've been experiencing in this case is so the opposite. It's sort of caused me to have more faith in the possibility of litigation as a tool of empowerment because Rachel put it so well just in the framing of the question. We've had our clients playing the lead on essentially every decision we've made in the case. And it turns out that that they really know what they're doing. And this case has been able to investigate so many more facts, cover so much more ground, address so many more issues than we ever would have been paying attention to as the lawyers. So it's been just the most amazing, fun, and I think impactful experience that I've had in my career. So I don't know. I'll get it going in that way, but would love to hear what others have to say.
And it may be that Louisa and Peter, since you were actually talking about this about a week ago to a class with Mike at Harvard Law School, you can also respond, one of you. What is it meant to practice this kind of participatory lawyering for you as students?
Yeah, I can definitely talk to just like the learning aspect of it. I think Rose as a whole has allowed me to get a sense of how the legal world operates and also how to make an impact as a student. I think many times uh, students are just in classrooms 35 hours a week, but they don't get to go and do work like this, talk to people, talk to community members, collaborate with lawyers. And so being inserted into this like intergenerational dynamic has allowed me to grow so much as a person and also as a scholar. It has also allowed me to really have a more open mind when it comes to these issues, just speaking to people from rural areas and also from urban areas, see that things are not so black and white as we often think. There's a lot more gray area, and there's a lot that we can learn from each other, and a lot that we can learn even from the Kentucky Constitution. So I do like the way that this is sort of like guerrilla social studies, and I get to really make an impact and also grow along the way.
I can also add a little bit that I think on the flip side of that, for kind of building on the past as part of this lawyering is really important. We have a lot of stories in Kentucky and a lot of stories that you see in this book that are told through numbers, but that are also told through these really interesting anecdotes where Kentucky has a unique system of schools that is based on our counties and where everyone does have a chance to go to a public school that in theory would level the playing field for people. And so this kind of participatory lawyering means that no matter which of the 120 counties you live in Kentucky, you get a chance to be represented. Whether you're in the room or not, the job of the student voice team and the hope of this lawsuit is that we can own these stories and take the lived experience of so many Kentuckians who have had hopes and dreams that run through public schools and make them a reality for the future.
I think that this kind of participation that we're seeing in students really shows what students are capable of and how we can be leaders too. And I think that if these students are able to play such a pivotal role in the courtroom, then they are just as capable of playing an even more pivotal role in a student boardroom meeting.
Thank you to all of you that answered that question. That was a really good question from Rachel. But I am going to move on. We have one in the chat from, I believe, I don't want to say that wrong, Shayna. And her question is, what part of the complaint seems to be resonating the most with the public so far? And I think I will start by answering that question. In my opinion, I think it's the funding gap, because the whole reason, one of the main reasons that we filed this lawsuit was because of the funding gap. It is larger than it was when the Rose decision was first decided. So I think that is a big part in why a lot of people really support this lawsuit. But I will pass that to whoever also wants to answer that question. You can either raise your hand or just unmute and answer.
I think another thing that has really resonated with people is just how willing we are to stand up for our education, and the fact that a lot of the time the stereotypical thing is, high schoolers don't care, they just want to get out and get done. But constantly I keep seeing people like, oh, you guys are a bunch of students that are filing this lawsuit. Like, you're not professional, like, you have professional help obviously with this, but you're not professionals. You don't have law degrees. You just are advocating for the quality education that you deserve.
Okay, if that's all for that question, then we have one from Joy. How long did the collaboration take in putting this together, and what is next? I cannot answer that question because I am actually frankly new to the team, but I do believe it took about a year for us to put this book together. But if one of the more seasoned members wants to answer that, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I can talk about just Rose being my first interaction with KSVT back in 2023. So it all started back at the story is a Harvard law student sent an email to Rachel, and then from that email, basically all of our lives have been changed. And so just from that interaction, we started putting together conversations and then roundtable discussions. And yeah, it's been nearly 3 years since that. So also just what is next? Well, we are still hosting public hearings. We have a one in Denver in February. So if you all can join, definitely come to that. We'll be having students interviewing experts, and then we are also putting together our Rose Ambassadors program, which aims to deputize students to talk to their own community about Rose and about the legacy of Rose and our lawsuit. And so we really want to keep this momentum going, and we want to really keep pushing for our educational rights. So this does not end here. There's still so much work to do. And so, yeah, there's still a lot of energy that we want to circulate.
Thank you, Louisa. We have another question. What are the greatest challenges you face in this campaign and lawsuit, and what gives you hope? One of the greatest challenges I think that we face is just getting our information out there, because, we have social media, we have all of these things, but still not enough people know about our lawsuit and our decision. So I think that is a big challenge. And something that gives me hope is that KSVT is constantly growing. We are constantly getting new people and new opportunities to go and speak places and go and get this information out. So that gives me hope. But if somebody else wants to respond as well, you can unmute.
You can go on to the next question, Lucy. We got a lot of them, and they're great.
We do have many questions. This is wonderful. Our next question. What has been the reaction of students you've talked to or are just peers with since filing the lawsuit? One of our other students can answer that because I've answered a lot of questions. So if somebody wants to unmute.
I think, at least for me, it's been a lot of like shock. Definitely with adults. The adults are like uh obviously really impressed, and students usually are too. But I think, most of them don't know about the like the initial Rose decision, and so they're like, wait, you're you're suing the state, you're trying to make education better, and then they're also just like, yes, like we want better schools. We don't want we want a better, really good education. So yeah.
I'm just going to add that other members of the team who are on the courthouse steps are also on this call. And so, including a plaintiff, Riddy, and Maggie, you were there, and Georgie. If anyone else wants to respond to this question or the others, please feel free to do that and unmute.
I can give a short little thing. I remember I showed up to school the next day, and one of my social study teachers literally pulled out his phone and said, "Is this you on the steps of the courthouse?" And he was like showing me a KSVT TikTok. And that was kind of crazy. I also remember there was kind of like a little boom in KSVT membership after that because there was a lot of publicity and a lot of people realized like the important work we were doing and that they could get involved. And I just remember like so many new people joining and how like exciting that was. And I think there were some people concerned. I know there were some people that were really worried that if we were doing this lawsuit and kind of trying to change the education system, that, you know, if we kind of give that power to the legislator or something, there could be issues with like then taking away things in education, like taking away culture, like education and teacher pay. And so I know some people I talked to were really worried about that, but I feel like there was a general air of like hopefulness and excitement.
Thank you so much, Georgie. Our next question is, I know you all have your hands full doing this work, but I'm interested if you are also providing any technical assistance, leadership to young people in other states who might have similar concerns. I believe that is a question for one of our adult partners, so I will let one of you answer that.
I'll just say, so it's Rachel, managing partner, Rachel Bellin. We are fielding calls from all over the country daily. People have been following this case closely. They've been following the role of young people in leading this work closely. And yes, we try to support people however we can, just by sharing what's worked for us or what's challenged us. In addition, we're constantly talking with our attorneys. Mike and Mike are on the phone, Mike and Michael, and we know that people are very interested in the participatory litigation approach, and maybe Mike or Michael, you can speak to, the energy you're hearing from people across the country too around this work. I get to use the Socratic method on them because they're law professors. Mike and Michael.
Okay. No, definitely. I must say, we've been at several legal conferences since the case was filed, and the amount of interest, the questions about did these students really sit down and work on the complaint with you, and did they really handle a press conference? And every one of these questions, we say, yes, they really did. And I must say, personally, I've been just so amazed at how much motivated high school students really can do. I'm beginning to wonder if they're going to eclipse the need for a legal profession, because maybe you guys need a little coaching, but you may be able to do this all on your own.
I'll just quickly add, we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the amazing work of our law students here at Harvard Law School who participate in this work. I believe one of them, Sierra Tisdale Vacos, is here today, having just returned from a trip to Kentucky over the weekend, where she and a group of KSVT students engaged with a person who is on the call here today in some historical documentary research to learn more about the history of the implementation of the Kentucky Education Reform Act. So just one of many examples of the ways in which we have an intergenerational approach to this work, where high school students, law students, lawyers, adult partners are all working together, community members, to make this work happen. And it's just really quite powerful. I'll just say, participatory lawyering is a new thing, even in cases where adults are the plaintiffs. People are still just starting to figure that out. But here we have a group of young people who are actually leading the way in a type of lawyering that even adults aren't experts in yet.
Thank you, all of you. That was wonderful responses. Our next question, I'll just read this whole message because I feel like just reading the question.
Lucy, can you, just in case she's on a deadline, can you just prioritize just for now Olivia's question? Olivia Kraut from the gallery. She says, please prioritize the questions of the students on the student experiences first. But can we have a quick update on where things stand with the court case? Thank you.
Oh, yes. Whoever wants to answer that can go ahead. But we are so sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
We are about to host our next public hearing in February, which I'm so excited. But that is really all that I know. So if one of the lawyers want to take that away, go ahead.
Well, when we filed the case about a year ago, the response from the state was what's called a motion to dismiss, which means they went to the judge and said that they don't have a proper legal basis for this. We don't think their arguments were very strong, but we argued it before the judge last spring, and we're still waiting a decision. It's a long time. It's been a longer time than we anticipated. So we do expect this decision from the judge any time now. And if it's favorable to us, which we hope it'll be, it means the trial preparation can move forward and the kinds of work that the KSVT students are already engaged in on looking at some historical facts, helping us see what witnesses can stand up well to questions at hearings. All these things are going to help us put together the actual evidence that we're going to present to the court at the trial. But none of that can actually move forward till we get this decision that says legally these students have the right to bring this case, and it properly is raising important questions under the state constitution.
And I got you out of line, Lucy, but Rima has a question. I'll read it out loud in the chat. She says, so proud of you all. Rima's one of our awesome senior advisors. She says, the book clearly captures the complexity behind Rose's inception and development. Is there a section you're especially proud of that you think is underrated? And what's the key takeaway from it?
One section, see, I didn't write the book because I'm very new, but one section that I am proud of for all of you doing is whenever we get to the part about like college and preparing students for college, some of the statistics in there are just like actually insane. And if you haven't read the book, I totally recommend. But if one of the older, more seasoned members again wants to answer that, go ahead.
Okay, I do not mean to toot my own horn in any way, shape, or form, but I am definitely proud of the forward. Not only just like writing it, but also just the like collaboration aspect of it. I got to work with one of our other members, Ivy, and then also Shauna, who is a published author, and so just working, collaborating with other people to really immerse readers into what it felt like to be on the steps of the Capitol that day. It was a really special journey, and so I definitely think you all should read the foreword. Yeah.
As a member who, oh, sorry.
Nope, go ahead, Lucy.
Okay, it's Maggie. Oh wait,
Maggie.
oh
Go ahead.
Aubrey. Wait, okay. As a member who like wasn't involved in writing the book, but has been like here, like following along the lawsuit since it was filed, reading the book, it was really like kind of moving for me because I knew the background, but like seeing all the statistics of everything and hearing both the foreword from Louisa and the afterword from Ivy, both of those were incredible. And you could really see like the perspective of the students within the Kentucky Student Voice Team. And all the statistics they really stood out and were very impactful towards what our case is standing for. And one that stuck out the most to me, all the mental health statistics, they were like honestly mind blowing to me. Like I knew there was such a need for like mental health resources, but I wasn't aware like how bad those were. Yeah, that's my take.
That's what I was going to say, honestly, about the statistics and especially around the mental health aspect of the book and where it reaches those just research findings about the poor mental health within public school education and how it isn't being has not been dealt with the way that it's supposed to be. And I also just wanted to say that there are so many good parts of the book, and it's hard for me to choose a favorite for sure. But I know reading through the book, the biggest feeling I had was just pride. Just, I'm proud of all of my amazing student peers, a part of the Kentucky Student Voice team who put time and energy into writing this. And you can really see the passion, and it is so inspiring, not just for me, but I know for so many other student readers to just be able to show them what they're capable of.
And I think we have time for just one more question, Lucy. And because I got you out of order, I'm going to read it out loud, if that's okay. This is from Allison Sloan, who teaches in Rowan County and everyone knows her as the power behind Kentucky Teachers in the Know. And Allison says, this team knows how proud I am of them, but today I'm struggling to put my pride into words. I just ordered my copy and I hope I can get autographs. My question is for 2 to 3 of you. What has surprised you the most during this work so far? And again, this is open to anyone on the team who has worked on this in any way, shape, or form. You don't have to be a panelist, but you can be a panelist.
I think that what surprised me most during this work overall would honestly be the sheer amount of schools in Kentucky that aren't having their needs met here, because I feel like it's obvious to see that with individual students at your own school, you can tell that there's certain things that aren't like up to standard or up to your needs, or things that you can tell they're not being adequately given to you. But I think that with this case, seeing all of the different schools in nearly every county and just the sheer amount of things that aren't being dealt with within these schools, and also how much the youth is willing to be involved with this case, I think that's really what surprised me the most, because I think it's easy to see like as I said, as an individual, that things where you're located just may be different or may not be like adequate. But then seeing that everyone else or nearly everyone else in Kentucky, especially in public schools, aren't having their needs met as well, I think that's really something that's really surprising. And I think that going with that, all of the students that are willing to participate in this is also really surprising, although in a good way.
I absolutely agree with that, Lavinia. But if nobody else has anything to say about that question, then I will start closing. Thank you all so much.
Oh no.
No, we do have something. Louisa, go ahead.
I want to add that, I mean, I started this freshman year, 2023, and it's just so surprising how much we are still doing in like a very great way. We are still very committed to this work. There's lots of energy. We want to keep the legacy of Rose alive. And so just knowing that we've built such a hearty and just heart and mighty community around this work, it's so special. And yeah, I really hope we keep pushing and we keep fighting and working together.
Okay, so I'm going to say that that's all because nobody else is unmuted. But thank you all so much for your thoughtful questions and for taking the time to be with us today. This book and the lawsuit exist because students across Kentucky believe our voices belong in conversations about our education and our future. We're grateful you showed up to listen, and we'll hope you'll continue to stay engaged as work moves forward. With that, the Zoom is dismissed, and thank you all again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.